Hello, hello. What's up,
Hello.
everyone? How are you doing?
Yo, what's up?
Thank
All
you.
good, all good. Yeah, it's nice to see you guys. Yeah, this is
Same.
the second show and tell. We had the first one on the 3rd of February, and we had some great teams presenting, and we have some pretty interesting projects presenting in the second edition of the show and tell. And the goal today is to, yeah, for you guys to show what you're building, and also to explain which tech you're using and also which frameworks you're using. Um, and yeah, if anyone has a question in the chat, if you have questions for me or for each other, like please feel free. The goal today is really to share your work and what you've been building in this hackathon, which, by the way, as a reminder, is ending this Friday, so the 14th, on Valentine's Day. So if you have no plans for Valentine's Day, maybe you'll be hacking your way on this hackathon. But
Date
yeah,
with your agent.
yeah, yeah, I've seen some registrations of some people like building projects like an agent dating app where you can date like an AI agent, and then like each agent has a different character file, so they have like their own little personality. I mean, some people are into that, so that's pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, the structure for today's show and tell is for you, Gerson and Cheelax, to present yourselves. How you also got into the space, and then eventually describe what you've been building and how you did it. And the way we're going to do it. So I'll give the floor to Cheelax first, and then we're going to do around 15, maybe 20 minutes of presentations, including questions, and then we're going to apply the same for Gerson. And yeah, so we have zIdle or zIdle being worked on by Cheelax, and then we also have Arkthemist being worked on by Gerson. So two really interesting projects. I won't give too many details because I want people to hear from the creators themselves. And yeah, I'll give the floor to you, Cheelax. I think you can share your screen if you have a presentation or anything you want to present or a demo.
Yes.
And then, yeah, go for it.
Okay, I will share the complete screen right now.
Yep.
Do you see it right now?
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. So this is zIdle. Actually, you can see it on the right.
We see the StreamYard, though. We don't see
Okay,
zIdle.
so I have a problem. Let me change it quickly. Is it better now?
Yep. Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. So this is zIdle. It's an idle game. We implemented a proof of concept several months before. And actually, at the beginning of the hack, we thought that it was really a good playground, an idle game for an AI agent. So we decided to create Arduino, which is an AI agent able to play zIdle. And I will show you how it interacts with it right now. So right now I'm connected using a WebSocket to Arduino, and I will see all the changes it will do while he's playing. The first step is creating the goals. At the beginning, I have big goals, which is like to get 50 gold out of like producing resources, and using daydreams, it will be split in short, middle, and long-term goals. So here, for example, I can see a short-term goal, which is to initialize the game state, and I will get all the status of my current game, because my game is basically an NFT, which is mining resources and all this mining, selling, and increasing levels. So here I'm still at the beginning, I have the goals, and Arduino is thinking and is initializing the game state and getting the NFT data. Here it's interesting too. I can see on the right the goals that I'm pursuing for this session. So it's to accumulate 50 goals, to harvest 50 berries, and this list. So this is it. Under the hood, Alduin is working. I can see that he completed one action. And here I have a little jump where I have all the actions and he has all the state of the game and all the data of his NFT. So every resources he has, his level of XP and all this data. He's checking right now the mining status, checking if basically is working right now or not. So I can see that I'm not working and now I will start gathering resources. So I can see on the right too on the activity history that at this moment I'm starting mining and I can see the production of resources too. So yeah, at every step I get the feedback. For example, here I have this message from the system saying that he indeed succeed in starting gathering resources and is mining pine wood. In fact, it's constantly verifying that what he's doing is successful, to not like enter in some stuck state. And while I'm doing these simple steps, I'm continue to be thinking in the accumulation of the 50 goals, which is like kind of one of the top level goals. And here it's very interesting. So I mined and gathered 50 pine resources, and now I'm selling it so I can see that basically I'm at the end of my first goal because I have enough gold. And now, so I have the details of everything that is happening. And after that, I'm validating the goal to basically win some points in the arena that I will be talking about a bit later. I think that's it on this part. And yeah, as I finish the first goal, I don't have to do any action and is working directly toward the second goal I gave to him.
Nice. And this part on the left of the screen, so that's Daydream basically taking a bigger goal and kind of breaking it down into smaller goals, right?
Yeah. Actually, here on the left, I have the details on everything that Alduin is doing right now. And like, obviously, this is a proof of concept, but I have the big believing that we will reinvent a lot of new UX and UI with this kind of agent we are interacting with. So I'm very exciting on this part. So on the left, we see only the state of Alduin. And in fact, on the right, it's what we call the streaming mode. And we see like the NFT that Alduin is playing with, and like as I showed before, the inventory, the gathering of resources, the activities, and that's it. This is it on the feature part, I would say. I'm going to show you quickly, talk a bit more on the technical part. Alduin is implemented using Daydreams, and I go on some little parts of it. This is a thread we just wrote today. I believe it's interesting for anyone interested in FOCG and AI agent and this kind of connections we can make right now, which is really exciting. So the concept about Daydreams, one of the core concepts is the chain of thoughts. Basically, the chain of thoughts is that I will give a goal, and we actually saw it really well previously. I give the first goal, which is like to get 50 goal, and it will decompose it to like shorter term goals, and it will always like readapt depending on the events to pursue this like simple goal. To interact with the world, we need to decide where basically we put the interfaces. So here we have with Arduino what we call 3 key outputs. So we can query the game data with GraphQL. We can read on the blockchain to check some status on what is happening right now. And we can execute transactions. I can start mining, I can sell my items, or this kind of stuff. So this is the main outputs. And we can add kind of an overlay which is specific to our agent and what is supposed to do. So all these outputs are used by these actions. And as I said, it's like kind of the wrapper we put on top of it. And it allows us to mine resources, to harvest resources, to check the mining status. And this is all the behaviors that the agent has and can decide to use by himself. As an example, this is an execution of an action of Arduino. Here is getting the wallet address, so basically the owner of an NFT. So I just input like the info of the entry point, so the name, the type. I put the call data, which is the token ID, and I get in return the NFT wallet address that I'm able after that that Arduino, is able after that to use on his own and by his own decision. So this is a really interesting thing too. It's all the specific code we have to zIdle to make Arduino able to play zIdle. So we are using the fork of Daydreams, and we have these two files. So the provider is basically explaining the actions I was just talking to you before. So this is the check NFT. The get NFT address is actually exactly what I just showed you before. And here I can see that I have the mine resources, which is an execution of the transaction, and it has some call data, and that's it. And the context is the explanations we give to Arduino on how he should behave, giving him some extra data on how to increase his XP, like on the ability to mine other kind of resources, and giving like key concept and advices that he should pursue in his gameplay. This is it on this part. And what do I have more? Yeah. The Blackboard, maybe I will talk before about the arena because it's very well related to what I just showed to you before. This is about the what's next of Arduino. And the idea is that we have the ability to pursue some goals right now, but the idea is to give the ability to people to tweak their own agent. And in the end, you can gamify that and put like my agent and the agent of my colleague inside the same arena, pursuing the same goal. And I'm doing my little tweaks on the way I want. So after that, it's a very good way of fighting each other and even like benchmarking my agent on how he can succeed on this kind of goals. This is obviously a proof of concept, a very early stage. So the goals are very simple, but we will add complexity inside of zIdle and inside of Arduino. So in the end, they will pursue a lot more complex goals. For example, if we want to add like crafting mechanics and fighting mechanics, the goal can be in the end that Arduino is able to beat this monster, and to do so, he will gather resources, he will craft some weapons, and he will go to war to beat the beast. Back a bit to Daydreams, there is a very interesting concept which is used by the agents, which is a blackboard. Basically, you can envision it as a big piece of paper that the agent is able to use to store all his data. So it can be all the temporary data, like the address of the NFT that I just showed to you before. It can be the goals that he's working on right now, the goals that he worked on previously, and how it ended, basically. I believe that's more or less it for my presentation. Everything you saw on this presentation is open source, so if you're interested of it, you can check the GitHub and our fork of Daydreams. And yeah, glad to have any questions and your ideas about this presentation.
Amazing. I had a question actually, regarding the next step of the arena. Could you have like multiple agents like on each team? So like each side, if I'm playing with you, but I have my own army of agents, and each agent has a different speciality of getting resources or a different purpose of or a different way of achieving a goal. And then it's not just like a solo agent versus another one. So it's not the 1v1, but it can be like a 10v10 or like a whole army of agents.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, we talked a bit about that in the thread. But yeah, the idea is to have like this agent, and you just build your army of agents, and you can try this one this day, you can try the other one, and in the end, you can even reduce that and have like one, for example, the miner, which is responsible only on optimizing this kind of resources, and like the woodcutter, which is like just cutting the wood and optimizing. I don't know, but we can have a tons of behaviors around that.
Amazing. And so what are your next steps for the next versions and eventually the arena part of the game? Like, can you give us a timeline?
Timeline is complicated. I don't know. Basically, we are in a rush right now, trying to polish as much as we can until the finish line. But yeah, no timeline, but I believe that the arena would be the next thing really interesting. So give the ability to people, to dev at the beginning, but in the end, it should be like to anyone to tweak his own agent and just to remove this rule, to add this rule, this specific rule that if you think it's more interesting to put inside of the agent. And after that, I believe that the next step would be to add a little complexity inside of zIdle, to add what I just talked to you before, like about the crafting, about fighting against some monsters and stuff. So it can be a really more complex environment for Alduin, because we believe he's already very intelligent. So we want to see what he is able to do in more complex worlds.
Nice. Now, very cool to hear. And I had one last question. So not necessarily zIdle, but also to Z Corp. So what is Z Corp? What kind of games do you have? And on the games that you're also building, do you have other visions to integrate any agentic workflows in those games?
To sum up quickly about Z Corp, our main achievement, I would say, is that we deployed Z Cube on mainnet in November last year. We still are working on this game and are waiting for some big improvements on the StarNet infrastructure and on Dojo, and we will have a huge leap in the experience very soon. This is what we have in mind. We don't foresee the Cube as an AI agent game right now. We believe it's because it's a casual game, and we love to do casual games too. So this is something that we want to keep in our landscape. But we love this kind of complexity too, and I don't think we talked about it a lot to people, but we believe that we have another game which is really interesting to make playable for the agents, and it's like the Crown, which is basically the risk implementation we did. We can do, I believe, really interesting thing like doing just competitions between AI agents inside of this game. And actually, by design, it solves a lot of issues we had. For example, for the lobby-based game, it can this allows us basically to put out an AI like on the spot and just improve it as you go, and it's really exciting for us. We are enjoying it a lot right now.
Very nice. And yeah, closing question: if people want to reach out to you, how can they find you online?
You can find me on Twitter, I would say. So you have the studio page where you have the thread I just show you, which is zcorp_, and I am Cheelax _ too.
Nice. Here it is.
Amazing.
Okay, very cool. Thank you so much for the presentation. Like, this is a lot of exciting stuff, and we see a lot of cool stuff also being hacked on in this hackathon. So yeah, awesome work.
Thank you.
Okay, next I want to give the stage to Gerson, him and his team. They're building Arkthemist, and so it's an AI mediator based on Costa Rican law. And I think this is like a super different use case to what Cheelax presented to us, but is still involving agents. And this time it's involving Eliza. And so I'm going to give the stage to Gerson to explain what he's been building and his team. And afterwards we'll have a couple of questions.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, and it's a completely different use case, and I'm going to see if I can share my screen. I think you can see StreamYard, right?
Yep. All right, you're on the stage.
Okay. Nice. Awesome. Well, I wanted to do just a really quick, just to introduce myself really quick. You guys are seeing the Arkthemist presentation just to make sure that everything is good.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'm Gerson. I'm part of the Arkthemist team. I've been on the StarNet ecosystem for almost like a year. I discovered StarNet thanks to OnlyDust by contributing to different open source software and open source software projects out there like Malara, Kakarot, and many more. And thanks to that, I'm here. I've been involved on the StarNet ecosystem for almost like a year now, and yeah, and I'm here to present Arkthemist, Greek goddess Artemis on StarNet. That's where the name comes from. Well, to explain what Arkthemist is, or to better understand what is or what we built, we have to keep in mind this fact that we have here, that humanity spends billions of USD dollars per year in using obsolete legal systems. So we, Arkthemist, as a team, we saw a really good opportunity here to bring blockchain and AI to the legal system, because there are around $9 billion spent in legal fees just in private arbitration services. So with Arkthemist, we're bringing blockchain and AI solutions to the legal system, because like it says here, like it says there, sorry, um, private arbitration services. So we all know that with blockchain is, or we have a more transparent and secure processes behind the scenes, and thanks to the AI, we don't have like biased decisions behind the scenes, because the AI that we have now is completely trained on the legal system of Costa Rica. But what is the problem that this product is fixing? Well, we saw some really good market opportunities here, and like I was saying, like the lack of transparency. Now with something like Artemis, we are making all these processes that is happening behind the scenes more transparent to all the people. There is inconsistent standards, there is biased and independent decisions, and we don't want that anymore. We want to get rid of that thanks to Arkthemist thanks to the AI power, and there is high cost, like I've been saying, that is around like $9 billion dollars that is spending on private arbitration services. But what is Arkthemist? Well, Arkthemist is the first smart legal assistant and safe arbitration as a service that is built on top of blockchain and AI. Here is the architecture. We built a really intuitive front end side, a user interface. On the backend side, we are using the Eliza framework, and this Eliza framework is always communicating with a starnet plugin and a fine-tuned model that we train using the Together AI website. On the starnet plugin, we built a new action, and thanks to this action, is able to communicate with the smart contracts with the on-chain part. And on the Caro contracts or the smart contracts, we built an escrow smart contract, which is in charge of locking the funds every time that you create a new case inside of the Arkthemist website. And I want to show here a demo of our of our website. Here's the dashboard. You can log in, and once you log in, you can see the dashboard, and you can see all the different active cases that you have, the resolved cases. You can create new cases inside of the platform, and you can chat to get advice. Because Arkthemist, you can use it to solve different legal disputes, but you can use it to ask different things related to to the legal system for now, just on Costa Rica. But we plan to train more this legal assistant and to be able to not just have just the legal system of Costa Rica. We want to have other laws of other different countries. And you can click on any of the cases that you have open, and you can ask questions about how the case is going, like about the status and how is everything going. Um, you can go back to cases. You can create a new case here in this new case part. You can put it the name. You can put the different parties' addresses, like your wallet address and the defendant address. You can provide all the different contexts, like and provide different other documents to prove the dispute. Once you uploaded all that, you are going to be requested to send an amount, and this amount is going to be locked on the contract that I was talking before. Um, so once you send the money, send the payment to the backend side, it is going to determine based on all the information that you provide and based off all the train data that we did with Together AI is going to say who is the winner of that specific case. And once it says who is the winner, there is going to be a transaction, and you can look for that transaction on Voyager or StarScan to see who the winner is in this case. And you can see all the information about that transaction, and you can see that the winner is tenant A for this example. And yeah, I would say that that's basically how the Arkthemist website is working currently. Now going back to the presentation again. Here are some things that we're proud of. These are all these things we have been done. We did some improvements to the Starnet plugin. There was a PR merge to the Eliza framework. We did a new plugin actions, fine tune AI model using the Together AI website, a video tutorial for starters for people that wants to get started with the Eliza framework plus the Starnet plugin, fully functional escrow and arbitration contracts in Caro, user-friendly interface, and the Eliza plus the X Twitter integration. Here is our roadmap. We started this product on the Starnet Winter Hackathon. Now on the Agent Hackathon, we are planning or aiming to have a usable product to receive feedback from the people. And we're really happy to share that we were invited to be at the Starnet Hacker House at Denver. So we're going to be there developing and improving this product by deploying this Arkthemist on mainnet and getting even more feedback because we are going to be well surrounded by a lot of shots there. And this is the team, but I was the only one to make it at this time. That is Robert, Jonathan, Gerson, Steven, and Andy. And yeah, that was Arkthemist.
Amazing, amazing. Thanks for the presentation. The first question I had is, so you showed your roadmap, and so you're gonna go to the Denver Hacker House, and then you also are gonna start looking into ways of funding the project. But for now, given that it's still pretty early, do you have any ideas of go-to-market strategies for this kind of product?
Yeah. Well, we are now on a program on StartNet, and that's the main topic that they are going to help us, like more on the strategy and the business idea behind of it. So yeah, basically, we I think we all on the team we all agree that we still need to have like a better plan on the business case and stuff like that, because that's a really important things. I know that Starny is really interested this year to be like helping different um, projects like this and to make it like a product and like a company. So yeah, we are getting help on that kind of things.
Amazing. And this is like you don't see a lot of these use cases, so I'm curious also to ask you how you got the idea. So right before starting to building the project, like does anyone in the team have a background in legal, or yeah, how did you get the idea of Arkthemist, and then also the idea of integrating Eliza, or did you have any ideas of an AI integration before Eliza, or how was the whole process before starting the project?
Yeah, well, I remember that we had like a pool of around like 15 ideas about what to implement with blockchain and AI, and all as a team we were like decided which one was like the best for all of us, and we were like thinking um, which of all these ideas could be achievable on this time on all this time that this hackathons has um, to be able like to achieve like an MVP or like a proof of concept. Yeah, Andy is part of the team, and he was like helping us a lot on that part, and he invited another person that knows more about the about all this legal system and legal stuff. So he was like helping us on that side, and we discovered like a really good opportunity there, that there is like a lot of money that is spent and on processes that maybe we don't know what is exactly happening behind the scenes. So we saw a really good opportunity to bring blockchain and AI solutions to the legal system.
That's very cool. Very cool. And a last question that I had is, how did you fine tune the model for Eliza?
Honestly, that was a really simple process. Thanks to Together AI. Well, Together AI is a platform where you can upload your trained models and you can host them there. So I just gather all the legal system of Costa Rica, like a lot of different laws here. I took we took all the data and then we just uploaded it to Together AI, and Together AI was in charge of um, training the model based on all the data that I gave it to him. So that it was a really quick process, and thanks to that, then the model is just like open source, and then you can just go and interact with it. And thanks to that, we just are consuming like an API and communicating with the model, and that's it.
Very nice. Very cool. I don't have any more questions from my side. If I look at the chat, there's no question either. So yeah, this marks the end of the second show and tell, also the last show and tell of the hackathon. I want to thank both of you for presenting today your projects and your ideas, and I'm also like really excited for both projects to see what's up like in the upcoming weeks. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure sharing with the
For the
whole
invitation.
what you're building.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invitation. I mean, it's crazy for me, like a year later and having this kind of opportunities. I mean, it's really really cool, to be honest.
Amazing.
Appreciate it.
No, of course, and let's keep in touch.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys. See you. Have a
Thanks
good
a
day.
lot. See you soon.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.